Okay, that's my wrap up of this pattern. Thank you so much for being here. Follow me on EB Knits if for some reason, sorry, I just put my hand in the camera. So thank you so much for being here. Follow me at EB Knits. It's my business page, which after this crazy nonsense, I don't know if you're going to even be interested in. EB Knits by Emily is where I post all my personal makes on Instagram. Oh my god. Hello, this is the finished object video for this hat. I just recorded another video about it and I rambled on for 12 minutes with a bunch of asides just staring at myself in it. So I'm going to try and make this more concise just with notes. And if you want to see that other rambles, bits and pieces of it are in the mid-July makes vlog video. So you can check that out around July 15th, 2021 if you want to see that. Okay, but this is a Syncopation Adoration Hat by Stephen West. It is a brioche hat. It was my first time ever doing brioche. I saw this beautiful tank top. I've always admired brioche, and I've heard, it's tricky. I wanted to learn it, but I've never taken the step to be I want to learn it now. Until I saw a beautiful tank top on Instagram, and I applied to test in it. The pattern designer contacted me. I told her it was my first time. She said that's okay. But even before it started, fingers crossed, it sounds like she contacted me. Hopefully I'll be testing it for her. Either way, I want to knit it at some point when it comes out or when I'm testing it, when it's being tested. So I wanted to, though, have a little bit of experience and then not be my first project ever. So I decided to knit something small. I chose a hat. Hats are how I started knitting. I love knitting hats. So I decided to do that, and I'll just wear this when I'm in Illinois or on a cold vacation or whatever it may be. It's like this in the pattern picture, so you'll see me wearing it like this sometimes, but I do definitely like the brim folded up. So this is obviously 2-color brioche. Like I said, it was my first time. I started this on Friday the 2nd. I think I kind of messed it up, but I think that's what practice is for. So Saturday morning, the next day, I ended up ripping it out and just restarting, and I did it the whole, almost all of Saturday, with some breaks, obviously, and there's fireworks going off in the background if you hear those. With some breaks, obviously, but I ultimately ended it. I made the pom and finished everything off Saturday night, so it was technically a one-day project. And I probably wouldn't do it again in one day, unless I become super speedy at brioche, I guess. But I feel like I did end up getting the hang of it. I watched a lot of tutorials. The pattern, it gave you helpful advice, but then when you get a little confused, I always refer to the Ravelry notes, the other project pages on Ravelry, and those were a little some people had trouble. They said there was errors in the pattern. Some people said they were fine with the pattern. So is it just that brioche is so tricky? People thought there was errors when there wasn't. I'm not sure. Ultimately, one thing I would do differently next time is the setup rows. When he tells you to join in the round, join after the setup rows, not after the first round of brioche. That's something I'll try. That was a note. And that's really it. I'll just change up my colors, do a few needle sizes smaller because I think my gauge is a little too big, but I didn't. The reason I used a 5.5 millimeter and I'm using worsted weight yarn, whereas the pattern calls for DK. I cast on 66 stitches instead of 70 as the pattern calls for to kind of accommodate for that looser gauge, but even if I was using worsted, I would use a smaller needle size. I would want a less airy fabric, but it's fine. This is fine. This is doable. Just for the future, that's what I would change. Okay, brioche wasn't as scary as I thought it would be, honestly. I think I got it down. I watched a lot of tutorials. I liked Stephen West. I liked Andrea Mowry's. I liked Very Pink Knits. I read a Pearl Soho article. Blue Mouse Knits, I think. Suzanne Bryan. I always like her. She kind of always delves into the backstory of things sometimes and why you're doing it, and that's why I always like her tutorials. So those were my go-to. So I did watch a lot of videos. That's how I learned to knit as well, and so that's how kind of my preferred style for learning a new technique. And I think that was really helpful. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. These are all, like I said, just worsted scraps because it's all acrylic yarn also. When I first started knitting, I bought a whole bunch of yarn from Michael's. I actually ended up returning a lot of it before I moved here to Florida because it wasn't opened. And then, but everything that was open, I've transferred to mainly using natural fibers instead of man-made. And so I'm going to turn all of those into a blanket, a crochet hexagon blanket. But I just took some scraps out of my crochet hexagon duffel bag that I've got and used it for this. So I really like it. I'm very pleased with it. I have blue and dark blue here. It goes into, you can't even see, which this is my favorite part. So next time I would just do my favorite combos, make sure they're not underneath the brim when you fold it up. This is light blue and green, then it goes into green and yellow, yellow and pink and yellow with pink and dominant, and then pink with burgundy background, and then if you can barely see it at the very top, it's gray and burgundy, and I just should not have done that. I should have just stuck with the pink and the burgundy to finish it off, but I was like, there's so much pink, I don't want that much pink. So I switched to gray instead of going back to a different color. I just was overthinking all of my color choices. I was semi-overthinking, but I was just going, it was like a mix, you know? Like I like the way it transitions and I don't want to go back to one of my first colors. It was just a big thing, and I'm losing light right now. So I've got to wrap this up if I don't want to re-record tomorrow. This is a crazy pom. The pom is even crazier in the pattern pictures, and so I really wanted to kind of emulate that. I did use a pom maker. I used a large size. Next time I would either use the extra large or just use less yarn because I want it to be more bare and scrappy looking. I didn't do much cutting of the yarn like to make it look nice. And it looks like Stephen Weston even uses like different fibers, like a furry thing, and I didn't really know how he made his pom, but I just tried to do what I know how to do. So overall, I'm disappointed I'm losing light. Maybe I'll have to redo this because this is not professional looking. Okay, so I was losing light. I just turned on my ring light, so it's different lighting. But I don't think I'm going to redo it. So this is just going to be it's a crazy hat. It's a crazy video. First video, I rambled a ton. Second video, the lighting is insane. This is just where we're at right now, I guess. So, overall, I'm really happy with it. Brioche wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. I would definitely knit this pattern again. In the future, I would just switch the setup row. I would just go down the needle sense, like I said. That would be. Otherwise, I think the pattern is pretty clear. I just, refer to tutorials when you're confused. I think for me, the kind of most confusing was looking at other Ravel Rouge notes. And it's like, some people were okay with the decreases, someone had trouble with the decreases, some people had trouble joining in the round like I did. And some people didn't have any notes about that, just said like great pattern or whatever. So, I don't know. I'm not enough of a brioche expert to really like say this is right and this is wrong. But either way, I'm really happy with this hat. This was super last minute, not planned make, but I really like it. I liked using the scraps. I would totally do it again. And I like the hat. So I'm going to cut this because I don't have anything much to say more. I really like it. I will insert some pictures that I've taken, and I definitely recommend this pattern, but don't be scared by brioche. So maybe there's a different pattern you could use for your first time that's more descriptive. Or maybe even like taking a class in person would be better for the first time. So my next step would be one color brioche. I've heard two color is easier because you can clearly see. So my next step will be one color brioche, and this had, just decreases. It didn't have increases or too many decreases. So that's also a next step, is practicing increases and decreases in brioche stitch. So, but I'm really happy. Like I said, it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. So I feel like I accomplished beginner two-color brioche. And once you kind of get into the rhythm, it is fun. And like everyone says with color work, there's fireworks going off again. everyone says, well, color work, this isn't color work, but you know, you like to see the different colors and how they transition. So as you switch colors, I think it's so fun, and that's one of the reasons. Like, I wanted to get the hat done because I just wanted to feel accomplished, I guess. But it was really addicting to be like, oh, let me see the next color combo I'm going to choose, and how is that going to turn out? And once you do get into your brioche rhythm, it isn't as intimidating. It's not mindless. It's not sitting there and doing stockinette. But, you know, thank you so much for being here. Follow me at EBKnits. It's my business page, which after this crazy nonsense, I don't know if you're going to even be interested in. EBKnitsbyEmily is where I post all my personal makes on Instagram.